trying something new today, where I'm going to try to stream from two video cameras, but this one actually just did not work, so we'll see if we can make it work. Because I want to actually stream from my personal page today, and I'm a little bit late. If any of you guys actually mark the calendar, I'm a little bit late this morning. I was up really late processing a friend's death, and it actually fits in perfectly with today's topic, because one of the things that I want to share is talking about what is abundant expansion and how can you experience it in your own life. So let me just see if I can't go live on here, and we'll be broadcasting from both. Let's see. Let's see how it goes. So what is abundant expansion, and how can you experience it? And you might see I'm actually going to probably talk to this camera a little bit more, because it's going to be a really clear channel, and I did post on my Facebook page that if you're watching with that one, you might want to pop over to my personal page. So talking about abundant expansion, and what is it? And I was up late last night just processing through a good friend's death. Many of you may know him, Ted Reingold, and it's one of those things where he's been battling cancer for a long time, and we've known that it's coming, and yet just nothing prepares you for that moment that you realize that someone's gone. And it fits in with today's topic so perfectly, because I want to talk about abundant expansion. For the past 2 years, 3 years, I've had a program called Momentum and Abundant Expansion. And a lot of times people will ask me, what is abundant expansion? Or if they think about it a little bit more, you can kind of hear it and know what you think it might be. Abundant expansion, the expansion of abundance, the growth of abundance. But there's a lot more to it than that. And I think if you actually stop and start wondering into what is abundant expansion, and how can you experience it yourself, that's what I want to talk to you about today. So one of the things that is the first thing that I want to talk about here is just kind of the story of how abundant expansion came to be, how this phrase came to be, how the actual experience of abundant expansion came to me in my life. And it's an integral part of this story, and it really started back in 2013, 2014, and I'll share with you that one of the precursors of this happening was me getting really, really clear on what I wanted to call in. So this is something that I do obviously with my clients and in my programs, is getting really, really clear on what is the big vision that you want to create. How can you get crystal clear on what you're wanting to call in, what you're wanting to magnetize. And at the time in 2013, 2014, and I remember actually going to a party and somebody asking me in that moment, what are your, randomly, like who else is he going to ask this question to? Some guy asked me, what are your top 3 to 5 goals right now? And I was like, I can tell you, because they were so front and center, top of mind. And so I was able to be like, okay, here they are, 1, 2, 3, and named them off. And the thing that is so, so cool, and actually I'll share with you too, that this was super inspired by Miracle Morning at the time. I'd read that in 2013. I'd started implementing it in my life. And next thing I knew, at the end of 2013, and when I was so clear and focused on those goals, things just started popping. I had hired on an assistant at that time. I had brought in some extra help, and at the time, there was a time even in 2013 where I was like, I was running an office already. I didn't know if I had any extra money for hiring an assistant, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna hire you for this much money a month, and we'll see what happens. And then I had this other team on board, and next thing I knew, I had all this work coming my way. I was like throwing money at my teams and my assistants faster than I could, possibly like keep up with them, because as soon as I had that support in there as well to support me, I knew that I could do what I was best at, right? This is all of what I talk about, double down on your genius. And I could do what I was doing best at. I could have a team that was supporting all the work that was coming in. And it's not to say that it was easy, right? This is all about sustainable growth, where all of a sudden you're kind of like putting together the ship, as you're flying it. But it was incredible. Well, 2014, my business continued to just explode and take off. Not only that, I was doing keynotes around the country at different conferences. I ended up falling madly in love. I ended up moving halfway around the world and have been based in Hong Kong and been traveling all over Asia for the last 3 years. And what I learned abundant expansion was in the midst of that is, if for any of you who have experienced major change or have had something that's put you at that learning edge where you have this big leap ahead of you, this huge precipice, this huge unknown that you have no idea what's going to happen, or just what's on the other side or what to do. It's just this huge blank canvas, and that can be so exciting in a lot of ways. Sometimes it can just be downright terrifying. And depending on the circumstance, you either may stay where you are and not move and stay stuck, or you may go, okay, I have no idea what's on the other side, and you may close your eyes and leap. Well, what I was finding in the midst of this is what many of you guys have heard me talk about, which is I was experiencing such expansion of both, financially, with love, with this possibility in my life, with all the clients that I was serving. My team was growing, like so much was expanding. And I was also in the final stages of my Hendricks training, my amazing mentors and teachers of the Conscious Living and Conscious Loving program of Gay and Kathleen Hendricks. And Gay Hendricks, for many of you guys have read his wonderful book, The Big Leap. And so I'm technically a Big Leap certified coach. And that is exactly this, right? This big leap that you're taking. And that's exactly what I was doing that year in so many ways. Abundant expansion was born out of this feeling that I felt firsthand, especially when you are, if you have ever experienced this, or even if you want to experience this. I actually work with a lot of clients that I see having the fear of this success, that when things start taking off and all of a sudden you've got more clients coming your way, more success coming your way, you might even have an amazing love that comes your way, which it can be like a huge tidal wave in and of itself, right? Those emotions that just take you. And when all that happens, what I was left feeling in the midst of it, and my dear friends who were by my side through this were there to see it firsthand, was what I called, that I was like mastering what I called like the art of the laugh cry, where I was just losing it. I was losing it so many times. I would just have these moments where the emotion and the intensity of this expansion, of all that I was letting go of, my identity, of my home in San Francisco of 18 years, all these things that I was letting go of, and everything that I was stepping into, the big unknown that I was stepping into, all of that within my body, my physical body, felt like I was on a roller coaster. It felt like my entire body was like it just, and I remember the sensation that I felt, the question that I remember asking myself was, I don't know if I can handle this. I remember hearing myself saying, like, how can I handle this? How, and that was this question. I felt like I couldn't handle it. It would come out and just, it would leak out essentially, right? In total, like laughing and crying and tears and just this joy that could come out in no other way, but just full force tears, laughing hysterically, like I must have looked like a crazy person. Like if you ever have seen someone do this crazy laugh cry, actually congratulate them, because this is the art of abundant expansion. And what I realized in that summer of 2014, when all of this was just exploding in my life and felt so intense, and I just felt like I was, releasing this skin of who I was and stepping into this unknown of who I was to be, and wanting so hard to hold on to it or try to create some semblance of control. And what I realized is the greatest gift that I could give myself in that moment was to not control it at all. And that truly the art of abundant expansion is to feel all of your feelings, to allow all of these feelings, and so that became a mantra of mine. And this is actually from years and years and years ago. My beautiful friend Mare, she gave me this just mantra of allow, allow, allow. And when these intensity of your life is coming up and you're feeling yourself wanting to hold on so tight, how can you instead just take a deep breath and allow this expansion to come, allow this joy to come, this love to come. When we don't try to resist or even make up a story, this is a really, really big one, is that often what happens is that we'll feel feelings in our body. My chai iced tea. We'll feel these feelings in our body, and then we make up a story about them, and so in this moment, in 2014, no doubt I was making up a story. I was like, oh my God, I can't handle this. I'm losing it. What am I doing? What's the matter with me? Right? Have you ever heard yourself say that when you have this self-judgment about what's going on? So then we ended up making a story about the feelings that we're feeling instead of just allowing the feelings. And actually, what ends up happening more often than not, that I see with clients all the time and with dear friends and just people in the world, is we are so afraid of our feelings. We're so afraid of these intense feelings that want to come up and need to come up and need to be processed, but we just sweep them under the rug, or we numb them out, or we ignore them in some way, or we're like, la, 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 we just want to do anything we can to not feel them because they're so intense, and it can feel not fun, or we just feel like we simply don't have time, right? I don't have time for this, which is a total voice of one of your inner critics, right? And that we did all this work recently, if you guys are familiar, and I can put the link here, but I just recently did a workshop called Rewrite Your Scripts. And if anyone is wanting support with this is precisely what we go into in this workshop, which is available online to purchase. You can walk through it at any time, but it really walks you through what's going on here. What's this story that is underneath this that I have about these feelings? And how can you actually look at them? This is kind of like the digging out your closet, going into the back of your closet and being willing to go through some of those dark spaces that you've pushed to the back and that you don't want to look at, and pull them out and shine a light on them and take a look at them lovingly and compassionately and with patience and trusting, remembering that you're not going to die, that it's not even going to take so long, right? This is really something that I think so often we think we don't have time for, but I'm here to tell you that you don't have time to not listen to your feelings and the emotions that are coming up, because what happens is that if you aren't processing those, if you aren't allowing your body to listen to them, allowing yourself to experience these feelings, then it will come up in some other way, right? It will flatten you because you've gotten sick. You will all of a sudden, have been so shut down maybe that you've got an energetic close sign on your business or your heart in some way, so that there's no money flowing, there's no love flowing. So all of a sudden you're wondering why you're broke, why you don't have money in your life. It's because you've shut something down. Some part of you doesn't feel safe, which is, have compassion for this. This is no judgment on this, right? But have the understanding that you must allow yourself to feel all these feelings. This is like the secret. I was laughing with my assistant as I was preparing for this. I was like, I want to share with people what is abundant expansion. I was like, you want to know the secret? The secret is feeling all your feelings. But so many people don't know how to do that. I've got, clients all the time and that maybe I'll see them even later. And Hong Kong is a really fascinating place for this. It's what literally here is called face. You just put on face, like everything's fine, and nobody wants to show emotion. So there's a lot of like just robot says no, computer says no, and that there's no connection. It's, not to blanket statement it, but truly, like even in the educational system, they're not teaching them to really touch base with what's going on in their feelings. But we're realizing today in education that this needs to start so young for us to have this emotional awareness and this emotional intelligence, for us to really know what's going on so that we're not, tsunamied by these emotions and tsunamied by the fear or the sadness or this feeling out of control, which is really just another aspect of fear. When we feel confused or scared or that we want to, or that we're mad, or that we want to, flee the scene and that, fight or flight, right? When we just want to take off and we don't want to face it. Another one is when you just feel frozen and stuck. So these are all, as the Hendricks say, these are fear moves, and you can kind of start to spot them and recognize them in your body. Now, one thing before I complete today that I think is really, really huge, and this is a big thing that I work on with my clients, is especially when you are doing work online and you're being seen online, and that can be very intense for people. And here's a really, really sweet delineation that I think may be really valuable. And if this is resonating with you guys, I'd love to see some hearts, and thank you so much for watching. One of the really beautiful delineations here to notice is, so we do a lot of this work on our consciousness. We do a lot to meditate. We do a lot, you hear this about mindset. And yes, it is so much about getting your mind straight and your head straight and making sure you're watching what are these loops and these tapes that are playing. But when we come back to what I talked about in terms of how we often will judge even how we're feeling, right? So we end up judging our feelings. It's inner critic. The mindset even then is judging or not allowing us to do it. And so I want to give you a little something here that can flip this script for you and really help you support yourself through when all these intense feelings are coming up, no matter what they may be, right? Fear, sadness, anger, or just overwhelm, right? Stress, anxiety. And this is, and so much of my work, this is why it's Willow Loves You, is really based on love and compassion. And the way that we can meet ourselves with love and compassion is to recognize that, yes, we've got this consciousness, this mind, this inner critic that we can kind of reel in and support ourselves there. But what if you recognize that this consciousness kind of came into this incarnation, this lifetime, that you've now had this entire lifetime of experiences all through childhood and now into your adulthood, and has led you here. And this whole time you were born, your spirit, your soul, you was born into this body. And so what if you looked at it that it is really for you and your consciousness to be of a support to your body in this lifetime, and to really act on behalf of your physical body. Because where are our emotions? When we're stressed, we will feel like this. It's in our body, right? When we're delighted and joyful, we're laughing, we're expanding, this is this feeling of delight that we're feeling in our body. Right? When we're depressed, we want to crawl in bed and not talk to anyone and cuddle up into a ball. It's an experience that we're having in our body. So if you are, say, an online entrepreneur that is wanting to be seen more online, is wanting to expand your reach to be seen, one of the fears that may be stopping you is your physical body. And that some part of you, and if you can look at this compassionately and hold yourself compassionately with this, is what part of your physical body, for whatever reason, in your history, in your life, when you were a child, what have you, this physical body that's been on this journey in your lifetime, doesn't feel safe to be seen. And that it's bringing up this fear, telling your kind of like, it's like, alert, alert, alert. It's telling your mind, like, whatever you do not go on camera live because you know what will happen. And it's like, this is where then, you know, your body's like sending these, you know, signals to what then ends up becoming your protective ego, which comes out as a persona or inner critic or this gremlin in your mind that is convinced it is saving you. It is convinced, like we're talking life or death. It's doing you a favor, that it's not letting you get on camera, or it's not letting you fall in love with this person, or it's not letting you make more money, because then what would happen? You would lose this tribe that you're connected to, right? So it's just amazing how convincing it is. I mean, it truly is phenomenal how much it can feel like this life or death thing. So your message to your body is to remember that you can feel safe, that you can feel safe to be fully who you are. And remind your body, as it's almost, I heard someone say this the other day, that it's like you are your spirit guide walking this physical body through this lifetime. So imagine if your consciousness and your loving mind and your big heart and your compassionate, wise self was able to lovingly take the hand of your body, to hold your own hand, to hold yourself and say, body, I'm right here and I've got you and it's okay. And it's okay to be fully you because you're an adult now. You know, especially if some of these things came up when you were young, you know, to remind your body, like, you're an adult now and you can learn and you can set these boundaries. You're learning to set boundaries. You're leaning into these fears so that you can continue learning even more of how to set boundaries, how to speak up for yourself. And you can. You know, as many of my clients hear me talk about, you can actually grow this muscle, that the more you set boundaries, the more you speak up for yourself. And yes, it may come out messy in the beginning. Your voice may be shaking. You may feel super nervous. You may be flushed. It may just be totally terrifying. You may be convinced that you are going to die as you walk into the fire of this new experience. But for any of you and all of you watching this, I know you have experienced bringing yourself to new levels, that you've put yourself somehow, or you found yourself somehow in a situation that was totally beyond your comfort zone, totally beyond what you thought was capable and possible for yourself. And you got on the other side and you did it and you survived and you didn't die. And now actually you might have even gotten to the end of it and been like, oh my God, that was amazing. I can't wait to do that again, right? So remembering and reminding yourself of that, lovingly and compassionately walking with yourself and this body. This is this one body that you came into this life with, you know? And it's so magnificent when you can come into this loving relationship with your body, because you start realizing, I'll notice little things all the time, just still these old patterns of silly things about my body. And it's like, gosh, and I have such a healthy relationship with my body, but I'll just even notice one little thing and then I'll stop and say, well, why would I ever have that thought about this? This is my body. I was born in with this body and it has not changed. I will die with this body. And how can I just instead so lovingly celebrate and be patient with my body? It's actually another piece, is that this consciousness in our mind, our intellect, our conscious mind, especially if you have done work in this realm to, if you are meditating or if you are learning, if you're on the spiritual path to expand your conscious awareness, then often that moves a lot faster than our physical body. We have a lot of trauma that has been stored in our physical body that hasn't had the opportunity to process as fast. Our intellect and our consciousness, especially given that we were born in with such this magnificent awareness and this wise self that is within us if we're willing to tap into this intuition that can just be light years beyond. But this physical body, this is the one that is in this realm. This physical body is in this lifetime. We might have another physical body in the next one. We had another one in the previous one, but it's you're walking with this physical body through this one. So it actually doesn't move as fast, and it might require some more patience and some more love. That intellectually you might have gotten over something. Intellectually you might be ready for abundance in your life and love in your life, but your body might be like, hold up. I'm not ready, or this feels really scary, or wait a second, can I just have a moment to process through whatever's going on? So my invitation for you is to really allow yourself to fully feel your feelings. Don't make up a story about them. Don't make more drama and add more layers, really, that like then can sometimes add more layers and put it back in your body. But just to fully feel your feelings. As messy as they are, it can be really, really powerful to just sit and breathe through your feelings. You can sometimes write them out so that you can see them on paper. This is a big, beautiful form of self-coaching and really just allowing yourself to process it through is like get those words on the page. It's also a very physical movement, to do written notes. And I have got journals upon journals literally sitting around here. I'm writing a book right now, so I've got all my journals like stacked up. But to physically let it out of your body and to let it see it on the page and again, to have no judgment about it. Let it be what it is. And that is my secret tip for you for abundant expansion. That if you are wanting to call in more joy, more abundance, more wealth, more ease, whatever that is, notice where you may be having judgment or resistance or just not wanting to face head on what needs to be looked at, right? These feelings that are there and are needing to be felt, not swept under the rug, not numbed, not ignored, but instead like master the art of the laugh cry. Anytime you are laughing or crying, that is expansion. Go out there and dance, move it through your body. Go see a professional who can help you expand this throughout your body. Breath. Honestly, we came into this life with breath, and I'm telling you, breath is one of the most powerful catalysts for expansion. Is just simply for you to be with your breath and to take really, really deep, beautiful breaths. It's phenomenal how we were truly given the keys, these keys for expansion and the keys for your own evolution are right here within your body. We were given them right here. Well, obviously a huge supporter of having support outside for us to untangle it. And I talked about that in last Friday's video. If you want to go take a look at that, it's all about the deep dive and how can we get to these layers underneath the surface, which is really where the treasures lie. So go check that out. Starting to do these lives every Friday, and I would love for you to join me next time. And hopefully for those who are joining on my page, as well as those who are joining on my personal profile, you were able to see this okay. And thanks for all that joined me here. Hope you have a wonderful day. Love in your heart. Allow yourself to feel, celebrate how glorious it is that we get to feel these feelings and shine our light into the world, and none of them are wrong. Just love and accept them all, and that's the way that you liberate yourself and can then experience this abundant, joyful expansion in your life. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here. Mwah, mwah. Have a great day or evening wherever you are.